Welcome to the Dr. Mudgil podcast. This has been one I've been really excited for. I reached out to Greg O'Gallagher as a fitness influencer. He's been in the game for a very, very long time. He's a very young man, but I started. Are you even 30 yet?
I'm 30. Yeah, I'm
30.
Turned 30 in September. Yeah.
Welcome to the Council of Elders. So Greg has been someone who's been actually a huge influence on my own personal fitness transformation. And during the pandemic, I reached out to Greg to see if we could maybe connect to do a podcast. The stars didn't align, but somehow within a 24-hour period, we were able to connect. And I'm super psyched to have Greg on the podcast, hear his story. I'm excited to share his story with you guys. And this is someone, if you want to transform your body, that you really should follow. And he looks like a handsome, movie star guy type of guy, but he's got a lot of knowledge, man. Don't let the looks fool you. The guy's got major brain power in there.
Thank you.
So just to kind of I guess tell you a little bit of the backstory about how I found you. So I was like a skinny fat for my whole life. I have 3 kids, and with each kid, I just got like flabbier and flabbier, man boobs, gut, the whole 9 yards. And then in 2012, when I was like 37 years old, I decided, you know what, I got to fucking do something about this because I looked terrible. And I had a bet with my brother-in-law. This was on Thanksgiving Day. He was a guy that was like ripped and jacked in his 20s. He kind of lost his path a little bit as well. We're sitting on Thanksgiving. I had a scotch on my belly. He had a beer on his belly. And he's like, dude, what the fuck happened, man? Like, we got to do something about this. So we had a bet to see who was going to get in the best shape on Memorial Day. So this was from 2012 to May 2013. And I was 196, like 20% body fat, not muscular at all. And I was like, I got to do this really fast. I got to win this bet. So I started like really researching like nutrition and fitness and stuff. I was working out with a trainer, and I stumbled on intermittent fasting. This was before anyone was really doing it. This was like 2012 when no one was even talking about it. And there were
very early.
People, very early. Yeah. There was 3 people that I found on Google searches. There was a guy named Nate Miyake.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I think in California or Hawaii or something like that.
Yeah, I know him. Cool guy. Yeah,
he's a very cool guy. There's a guy named Anthony McCall, who was like in the Pittsburgh area, who had like a blog where he would talk about it. And there was you. And of those 3, all of you guys were great and had like a lot of information. But of those 3 folks, you had like the most defined platform. You had like protocols in place, like downloadable books, way advanced. I mean, this was like 10 years ago. And one of the protocols you had was an aggressive fat loss program. I don't know if it was that or warrior shredding. I'm not sure which one came first.
Yeah, warrior shred came first, and aggressive fat loss came thereafter. Yeah.
So I downloaded one of those, and I literally just followed it to a T. So I was already intermittent fasting, but really, you had a breakdown for macronutrients. It was just so specific, and it was so at the time where I needed that. Like I'm like OCD and like literally just nuts, and I will follow something to a T. And I got a scale and I weighed my food. I had every gram of macronutrient like broken down, and it was crazy. I went from 196 pounds, 20% body fat. I'm 6'2", to 154 pounds, 8% body fat, but literally looked like I was dying. Like people would see me, but hey, you lost a lot of weight. You look great. They're like, ask my friend, it's like, dude, is this guy fucking dying of cancer or something? Like, he looks terrible. And then from then, I've actually every year I've been like, I have every one of your programs, Greek God, movie star, superhero, which is what I'm doing now, which was kind of what I'm staying on. I'll talk to you about that in a minute, but really every plan is like, okay, Greek God, you're gonna get bigger and like more buff, add on to muscle after you do like warrior shredding. And then it's like, okay, if you want to get even bigger, then you do superhero, and then movie stars, if you want to kind of look like, movie stars like you. But they're all very specific programs, and they sound like, okay, whatever. It's like the title is like very exactly what it is, but you deliver exactly what it is. Like that's, if you follow the workouts, and it's very same workout, it's like 3 times a week, and you're not a huge cardio guy, and I'm not either, but it's very practical. I don't mean to take up the whole podcast, but that's how I found you. And I've literally followed every single one of your programs, and really to this day, 10 years later, I still do.
I appreciate it. I designed all those courses over the years, basically solving my own goals, whether it was losing fat quickly, putting on muscle without gaining fat, or putting on muscle in the right proportion. And so all those programs, I really test drove workouts for months, put the pieces together, achieved my goal, and then shared it. So those are all the systems I came up with. And like that whole package just works beautifully. And, on your aggressive fat loss transformation, you cut from 200 pounds down to 155 or so at 8% at 6'2". Like you got very, very lean. But it all worked out because you're able to pack on the strength and size and you look great now. And sometimes, when you want to get very lean, you're going to end up being a little smaller in the beginning than you want to, unless you have 5 years of intense strength training under your belt. If you haven't put in the 5 years of intense heavy lifting and muscle building, then you're always going to be a little smaller at a low body fat, but then you can always put on that size. So that's killer, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And thank you for all you put out there. But just going back to, man, where this all started. So there's like bits and pieces of this, and like, some of your posts and some of the stuff that because you're actually a very active writer. Like you write a lot of, I'm on your email list. So, you write a lot of articles and a lot of blogs, and they're all great. There's like a lot of information in each and every one of them. But you do reference like, your own journey a bit. And like, you're a young guy. I'm going to be 47 this year, but you're a couple of decades behind me. I like to call myself a geriatric keno warrior.
47's young these days.
I feel great. I'm in the best shape of my life, man. I'm literally
you look freaking young. 47. I'm not worried about 47. No, I'm worried about freaking 47. I'm still planning on freaking crushing it.
That's exactly, man. But so I know your dad was like a big influence on you in terms of just like fitness, and he passed away very early on in your life. Not to just go right into it and go right there, but it's something that I feel like a lot of your articles and a lot of the content for folks who really kind of consume your content, which I do, it kind of like goes back to that a little bit. Like how I don't even know much about your dad. I know he was like very successful, like real estate guy. And like, but I know he was also like into like fitness, like something like the bug was planted in you and like at a very young age that like fitness is important.
Yeah, he was definitely very into, he was a strong guy, lifted a lot when he was younger, played football. And so, there was an importance and a value placed on being strong and buff. And, when I grew up, I always kind of identified as being a little bit smaller. I wasn't the biggest kid in the room. And I always just wanted to feel strong and powerful. And that was really the goal. Now, interestingly enough, like I remember talking to some of my dad's close friends that he grew up with in his childhood years, in his teens and his 20s. And I remember one of his good friends, Glenn, was like, he met, he's like, your dad was so strong, he benched 350, but he was always like, he's always telling me, he's like, damn, I want to get cut. I want to be cut. I want more definition. Which was interesting because he wanted to get lean, but by the time then, the idea was like, oh, you gotta do a lot of running, you gotta do this and that. There wasn't a very enjoyable, clear-cut system to follow. But to your point, my father was big influence in me, to really be strong, powerful. And I just, remember watching movies with him, like the Rocky movies, Sylvester Stallone movies, Arnold movies. We bonded in a lot of those movies, and like the common denominator is you have this main character that's imposing, that's powerful, that's strong, that's ripped, and that can fight. And so that was definitely very, very important to me. And then really building a business, really, waking up every day, going after your dreams was really a much bigger point that he instilled on me. Setting like, I'd say, one of the big things that he instilled on me that applies not just to fitness, but applies to business and life is set a goal. That's the whole, you're on this world to like create the life of your dreams. You set goals and you go after them and you make them happen. And it doesn't matter what you want to achieve. If you're willing to put in the work, and you're willing to fight like hell for what you want, you will achieve it. It's that self-belief. It's goal setting and self-belief and determination. And that applies whether you want to build your body in the gym, that applies whether you want to build your business, achieve the career, that applies to virtually any aspect of life that you need to strive and improve at.
I love that, Greg. That's really like what my platform, I had like a midlife crisis and like sort of, I'm not going to get into all the stuff, but that's like a huge part of my platform, like setting goals, being accountable, getting your daily win that gets you one step closer to goal every day. Like, sort of teaching the 8-year-old version of me. I wish there was someone telling the 8-year-old me that that's how you have a fulfilling life, I happened upon it. And like, that's really what this is all. That's what this podcast is all about. Sharing that with the world, that like, you can fucking do it. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of setting a goal and chipping away at it and making sure not one day goes by where you don't do the one thing that's going to get you closer to your goal. And just, I think fitness is something that really, like, I've done that. Like, I was a successful doctor. I have a successful practices, financially, I was doing fine and all that sort of stuff. But not until like I had my fitness journey did I realize how that all happened. And because fitness is something that you can't buy fitness. You can't buy a good physique. The only way you can do that is by getting your workouts in, tracking your macronutrients, and really just holding yourself accountable. Like, I'm not going to eat that shit because it's going to put me a week back from like what my ultimate goal. And it really teaches you resilience, accountability, all of these things that are you need to fulfill whatever your goal is, whether it be in business or in life or in finance, whatever it is. But it's once you go through like a fitness transformation, it just empowers you in so many ways, and almost like you want to like bring people into it, but like, hey, you guys can do this. It's like a crazy, like, your life will be so much better if you hold yourself accountable with your body, because that makes you better at everything. It makes you a better husband, makes you a better father, makes you a better friend. You just start holding yourself accountable in every aspect of life. And the one thing I loved about your particular programs is it allows you to do it in a way where you can still like exist in society. Like, you can break your fast later. You can still have dinner with your friends at 8:00 at night. You're not living in the gym. You're not like eating a million meals a day. Cause I tried that. I know you tried that. You have this one picture where you're donating blood that comes up a lot in your social media, where you're like, you're big, but you're not cut or ripped at all. And like, you talk about that a lot. Like, you were trying so hard by like following whatever the classic paradigm is for fitness, and it just wasn't working, and you were miserable. And that's your programs are great because they're very accessible. You can very easily implement it into like a normal fun life.
Thank you. Yeah, what that was very, very important to me. For one, like, main reason was when I was into fitness, I saw a lot of these fitness people, and it became very clear that their entire life revolved around the gym. Like, they didn't have much going on outside of the gym. It was 2 workouts a day. It was this strict diet. It was very little social life. They weren't really doing anything to build their career or anything in entrepreneurship. And it just became like everything was fitness. And I just remember kind of seeing that and just being like, that's not it. Like, that's not the answer. The goal is to build an awesome life where you're multidimensional. You are in great shape. Yes, of course. You do, you do take care of yourself and train hard, and you do all the right steps. But you also have a great social life, whether it's a great relationship, good friends, you have adventure, fun, hobbies, to some level, and then, you're really going after your path. I can tell you right now, your path as a man is not to wake up and just work on your body all day and just try and look pretty or be strong. Like, I mean, unless you're a mixed martial and professional athlete or mixed martial arts fighter, you being in great shape is important. It's a foundation. It's a force multiplier, but that's not why you're put on this earth. You should just be in great shape. Be in great shape and then go after your goals in life. And interestingly enough, though, the real like crazy thing was that being in the gym all day, obsessing about what I put in my body and putting so much time and energy into it did not even help me achieve my goals. It actually made it harder. When I was in the gym all the time and focusing on my diet and trying to be so clean and eating every 2-3 hours, I would mess up more. I would screw up more. I would be in the gym so much, I wouldn't be recovering and getting stronger. And I kind of put the pieces together, and it just so happened the best approach fit with the lifestyle. And the best approach was 3 hard, intense, goal-oriented workouts where you're progressing on key lifts and you're pushing yourself hard. Intensity is limited. You cannot train like super intense 10 hours a week. You can go hard 3 times a week, maybe a little 4th workout, but literally 3 times a week, and push for personal records. And again, if you're sticking to a diet, eating at a calorie deficit is very difficult to do. It's not easy. Most people struggle with it. And so if you have a diet that consumes, they have to think about all the time, that's stressful, that they have to do meals all the time, you're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to stick to it. And so if you can create a diet that's just effortless to follow, where you're fasting, you get used to fasting, you're sharp and you're focused, and then you get to enjoy, a big dinner, a big feast every night, a couple other snacks, and you just get to look forward to this epic meal and you feel satisfied every day, then getting into phenomenal shape is actually something that the average person can do. And we've seen it from, you yourself as a practicing doctor, for people for all walks of life, have literally used my system and gotten to better shape than most people that obsess about fitness.
Right on, man. Right on.
Thank you. Yeah.
So talk to me about how this all started though. So, when, let's say you're only 30 years old, man. And like, you have like 7 or 8 different programs out there, but that first program, was that like when you first said, hey, you know what, this sucks, eating 7 meals a day and I'm like, I look and feel like shit. When was that like aha, like how did you even think of that, and then how did you start structuring that first program that got you like into like, I mean, you're probably in much better shape now, but got you to that first phase of having like a ripped physique?
Yeah, I was very into fitness at a very, very young age. I was the 11 or 12-year-old doing push-ups every day, or chin-ups. Started doing some weights at 13. Got into a little bit of boxing, martial arts at 14. Reading books like crazy. Every fitness book I get my hands on at 14, and my training was on point at a young age. I consumed everything I could, tested everything. I got actually into really solid shape as a very young kid, as 14, 15. I think I was doing like, weighted chin-ups and weighted dips at 14 years old. I think I hit like a one-arm chin-up at 15 or 16 years old. I like got into pretty crazy strength shape. Then, and then I got into a little bit more of like the traditional strength training, bodybuilding at 17, 18. And at 18, I put on some size, but I kind of followed all the traditional kind of information, and I got bigger, but I lost that leanness, and my face got a bit rounded. I'm someone where if I'm over 10% body fat, my face is going to get a little bit puffy. And I came across one of my mentors, Rusty Moore. He had a site called Fitness Black Book at the time. And he was talking about, guys like Cam Gigandet and Never Back Down. And he's talking about these actors like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And I kind of dawned on me. I'm like, yeah, this kind of muscular / bulky, puffy look that I'm sporting is not really what I want. It's not the chiseled look. And it was at that point of like 18 years old where I started to kind of plant the seed. It's like, wait, I actually want to get that lean chiseled look. Everyone's chasing the size and getting puffy and looking the same. I want that sleek look. And then I realized how hard it was to cut. I was like, damn, this cutting thing, I've tried so many diets and doing all the cardio, and I just found losing weight, losing fat so freaking hard. It was like my body is programmed to not like my body's programmed to eat and to get bigger. It's not programmed to get leaner. And so I went on like a very long journey testing and test driving different practices and using a bit of intermittent fasting, but just doing intermittent fasting and not having the whole puzzle together helped a bit, but it didn't get me lean. And it was also like it was also a lot of the psychology of eating and cutting and the psychology of not being so extreme where you're trying to lose weight so quickly and then you binge eat. It was a lot of it was psychology, and a lot of it was like the practice of actually what to do, not rushing the process, the right amount of protein. This, I could give you this diet setup, same calories, and it's easy to stick to. I gave you another diet setup, same calories, and it's harder to stick to. And so I just kind of figured out really what was so easy for me to stick to. The main motif was find the most enjoyable way to consistently eat at a calorie deficit. If you have to cut on 2,200 calories, let's find the most enjoyable way to hit those 2,200 calories. I personally like to finish my last 400 calories every night with chocolate. I don't know, you don't have to do it. I like to do it because I find that a little bit of chocolate at night, I'm satisfied and I'm hit deficit. But you can do whatever you want. But I put pieces. I find steak, potatoes extremely good for dieting, cutting. A little bit of fruit, some eggs. But you start to get very intentional about what is the diet setup, what are the foods. It's not necessarily just perfectly clean food. Some foods do a great job filling you up. And then from there, it's literally about getting momentum. Okay, you're doing this new plan. You're hitting these calories. You're eating the same layout every day. We're keeping it super simple. You don't have to think about it. It's just automatic. Now get those first 5 days on the belt. Get that momentum. Get that first couple of weeks, and then your body gets used to it. The weight starts coming off, and then it's just automatic. Humans were very momentum oriented, very habit oriented. So once we can get that momentum, cutting is very easy. It's that first couple of weeks that people kind of struggle with, and they half-ass it, and they never get lean, or they never have an approach that they can build momentum on because their approach makes them deprived. And so when you can get the right approach, get that momentum, fat loss becomes automatic. Fat loss becomes easy. I can use my approach and get to 6% on a DEXA and have steak tacos and margaritas with my girl the night before, or a couple times a week for the months before, when you get this stuff dialed in. So it's pretty cool. It's crazy to think that with thousands of different fitness trainers and writers, no one's really created such a simple, direct, but also enjoyable approach. But this is the stuff that I actually created and crafted out of my own failure of not being able to get lean, of following the status quo and not seeing results. And trust me, like I could, if I could eat as much as I wanted, I didn't care, I could probably put on weight pretty damn fast. Not easy for me. I'm a momentum person where I can, if I like to eat, I'm relaxed, the weight will come on like crazy. But when I get the system right and I lock in, I can lean down very quickly. But we've seen people from all walks of life struggle with so many other approaches, find Kino Body, light bulb goes off. They're like, damn, this makes sense. I like this. They do it. And they're the only thing they tell me is like, this is too easy. How is this working? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Part of it is like, like for someone who works out, like there's a point where I was working out like 6 days a week. It's hard to not work out, so what on days that you're supposed to be resting. So what I kind of do now is, I think you talk about this a little bit too in some of your vlogs, is I do like 3 heavy lifting days, and I do like 1 like super light, like body weight core, just so I'm doing something.
Yeah.
But it's not like, or maybe I'll hit like 1 muscle that I may have been missed, or that I'm really trying to work on. Like right now I'm trying to work on my lower chest. I'll do like 1 lower chest thing, and then just body weight stuff,
Nice.
But that's like that's the hard thing when you're trying to go from a sort of conventional, bodybuilding workout program to your program. But you just have to literally just trust the process, because the shit works.
Yeah, I get people saying, oh, I'm used to training 6 days a week. I'm scared to go down to 3 days a week. Like, dude, come on. Like, first of all, it doesn't take that much to maintain your current level of muscle size. So if someone's training, even let's say, for example, 6 days is superior. Let's say, okay, 6 days is better. Let's just say that. I actually believe that's wrong, but let's just say that. Well, your body can maintain your strength and muscle size off half the volume that you're used to. So by training 3 days a week, it's not like you're gonna get smaller. You're, at the very least, you're gonna maintain your muscle size. But what is actually going to happen is that now your body has all this extra recovery. Your muscles are getting better recovery, but really, most importantly, your nervous system, your CNS is getting more recovery, and your CNS is what actually powers your muscle fibers into action. And so by giving yourself this enhanced level of rest as a natural, you come into the gym and you're stronger, and you can get that 1 extra rep. Like, let's be honest. The reason you're going to gain muscle is because you're progressing, is because you're getting stronger. You're challenging yourself. You're not doing 225 for 5 reps. You're doing 225 for 8 reps. The only reason your body is going to build stronger is if it has to do more. And if your body is doing the same thing, I don't care if you're training 8 days a week or as many hours as you can, if you're lifting the same weight for the same reps, your body will not change. And your body grows and recovers and rebuilds while it's resting. So all you have to do is go into the gym, send the proper signal, push your body that 1%, and then just get out of the gym, rest, enjoy life, recover, and then go back, create that signal, and then rest, recover. You don't need to be in the gym for 3 hours. If you are on, the bodybuilders of the Golden Era with Arnold, they would train 4 or 5 hours a day, supposedly. They'd be in the gym 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, but they were also taking high amounts of anabolics, which create you have super physiological recovery and everything, and that can work. I definitely think they could have got the same results in less time, but you know what? That they enjoyed being in the gym a lot. That was their culture. That it definitely worked for them. But again, if you're a natural and you're trying to do what guys on roids are doing, you're going to be walking into a wall nonstop.
You know, that one of the things I actually really liked back in the day when I started learning about your programs was that concept of neurologic recovery. Like, it's really, really important. And a lot of like folks, even like fitness professionals, like trainers and stuff, they don't really talk about it, you know, because obviously they're trying to build up their sessions and try to get you to come in as much as possible. There's like a reason, but they also maybe don't have an understanding that really, like, your muscles grow on your days off. You know, like, you're basically taxing your muscles. You need that day to recover, where you're feeding the muscle, allowing it to rebuild. And that's a brilliant concept. But how did you learn all of these things? You know, you didn't go to school for like physiology or, you know, or, you know, fitness, you know, you kind of like learned it empirically, but you were very, very knowledgeable about the science behind it.
Yeah, I feel like the best knowledge, you know, one can attain is when, you know, you are seeking knowledge, putting it to the test, applying it, getting results, getting feedback, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, going and getting more knowledge, seeking out the top, you know, minds in the field. And if you have the passion and you have the, you know, if you're goal oriented and you're just hyper focused on solving a problem, you don't need to be under the umbrella of school. And so for me, I learned my best and achieved my best on my own as like an autodidact. I am like, my brain is turbocharged when I'm motivated, when I see the benefit of learning something. And so that's literally what it was. I had a goal. I had a problem I wanted to solve. I was driven. I'd seek out the top people in the field. I would test drive things. Some stuff was just bullshit. Like, this is wrong. This does not work. This guy's supposed to be an expert. He can't even stay in good shape. And this theory is completely wrong, or it's not enjoyable. And there's something to say that with fitness, you know, you like the result is so clear. Like, if you are going to lean down and stay at 6% body fat, you kind of have to have your stuff pretty damn well dialed in. And if you're going to be doing that while enjoying yourself, maintaining a healthy sex drive, not going crazy, like, you kind of have to have things pretty solid. And very few people in fitness actually can do it. You see the guys that can get into 4 or 5% body fat for a show, and they're not staying at 8% year round. They're ballooning up and then they're crashing down and they're miserable, and their girlfriend, they can't even have sex with their girlfriends because their sex drive is low because they're crashing too hard. Very few people can do it. And so I kind of realized like how much was wrong. And that's sort of how I kind of put the pieces together. It's like the Bruce Lee approach. Take that, what works, discard the rest, and kind of make it your own. But every piece of knowledge is out there on the internet, more or less. The puzzle hasn't necessarily been put together everywhere. When I was seeking knowledge, no one really put the puzzle together. They put their version of the puzzle, but I kind of put mine own together. So I have loads of people with way more education, traditional education and fitness, that follow my stuff and that love it, and they're like, damn, this really, really works. So that's sort of kind of how I put the pieces together. Have a strong goal, have a problem you're trying to solve, seek out the top mentors, test it immediately, get results, test it long enough to actually get results. Make your own hypothesis. Why did this work? Why didn't this work? What can I change or tweak or fix to make it work better? Go from there. And you'll be surprised. And so as far as the CNS recovery, I came across a few different fitness people that kind of spoke of it. And I remember, you know, training 5 days a week and then shifting back to 3. And it was like a light switch went off. I couldn't believe the strength gains. One guy in particular, Kelly Baggett, he was very like an athlete, sprint kind of jump guy. And he kind of said you have your best sessions 48 hours apart. And a lot of the top sprinters, they'll only do sprinting every 48 hours. So their CNS actually recovers. And it's pretty well known in the kind of the sprinting space. Another guy, Ross Enemate, he was a strength and conditioning coach for fighters, and he would have like conditioning work one day, then strength work the next day, conditioning work. And he pulled a lot of his knowledge from a lot of Russian textbooks on super training. And this is stuff that hasn't really dwindled down to the mainstream Western fitness industry. The Western mindset is kind of just all in, go like hours a day, put in hours a day, and doesn't really look at the big picture. On the Russian, fitness in the East and in Russia is a lot more methodical. And this, of course, this does not apply to someone that's going into the gym, that's grabbing weight and half-assing it. Your CNS is fine. You're not taxing your CNS because you're stopping 5 reps short of failure, and you're freaking talking to your phone your buddy on the phone, doing a couple of reps, and just, this applies when you go into the gym like a professional athlete and you are giving it everything, and you're there, and every set it's like freaking all out, like you're pushing. If you're training like that, this CNS stuff is extremely applicable. But if you're just kind of going through the motions, then you could train 5 days a week, but your CNS will be fine.
One of the things you always talk about is setting personal records, and like it's funny. Like I'll show you. Like I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but this is like my workouts. So this is like the literal screenshot from your book. And then these are like, my weights, like what I did, same thing, like kind of like my workouts.
Cool.
But I've been doing this for years, but I just put down, like, I'm always trying to hit a personal record in something. I'm not going to get it every week, but that's, really you have to push more weight to grow. It's one of those, which makes total sense. You can't get huge like this. Although, I mean, you did say in one of your vlogs, if you do 1,000 curls with a pencil, you're going to feel it.
You know what? Yeah. I was with my girl, and she was doing these little butt click kicks with no resistance. And she was like, yeah, if you really feel it, it's like, hey, well, it's one thing to feel your muscle. But you have to actually challenge yourself with a weight that will allow you to fail. I mean, ideally, 15 reps the max. If you're doing something you can do 15 times, and if you curl a pencil 1,000 times, yeah, you'll feel it, but it's not enough tension to gain muscle. So feeling it is not enough. You have to actually challenge your muscle in the 5 to 12 rep range. Yeah, you can build muscle with 15, but that's really where the magic happens. When you get stronger in the 5 to 10 rep range, your muscles really grow. If you do just 2 reps, there's not enough volume you can gain strength. There's not enough volume and really time under tension to adequately trigger hypertrophy. And if you're doing, sets of 20 reps, if you get to the point where it's really, really tough, your muscle fibers are going to have to kick in, but it's not as effective to produce muscle growth as doing 5 to 8 reps, where pretty much every single rep, your body's using a high level of muscle fiber recruitment.
Totally, man. Those are my working sets. Five reps. Talk to me a little bit about reverse pyramid training and rest pause training, because those are like, even in your programs are more advanced concepts with like the programs where you're really trying to get bigger and put on some mass.
Yeah. So reverse pyramid training. The first thing to mention is that when you work out, you are getting weaker. As you train hard in that 1 hour session, your body is getting weaker. And so it makes the most logical sense to do the heaviest weight while you are fresh. And so if you're someone that can, like, on your best day ever, bench 200 pounds for 5 reps, well, here's the thing. If you actually are training at your potential, you will never be able to do 200 for 5 reps 3 times. The only way you can do 200 pounds for 5 reps 3 times is if you can actually do 8 reps. And so instead of doing 8 reps, you're stopping short of failure, doing 5 and doing that 3 times. If you were to actually take a challenging weight for an 8 rep max and get 8 reps, you will be a lot weaker for that next set. And so the most logical way to train to gain the most amount of strength and muscle as possible is to push your body to its limit. And so that requires you to do the heaviest set first. Take a full, research is pretty clear that for strength and muscle growth, long rest periods are superior. So 3 minutes, take 3 minutes rest. And then if you were to do that same weight again, your reps would descend. And so instead of getting 5 reps, you might only get 3, and then you might only get 2. And so you don't want your reps to descend below 5. And so you want to be able to milk as much muscle growth as possible by experiencing the full rep range of 5 to 10. And so after that 5 reps, you drop the weight. Ideally about 10% works perfectly to add 1 to 2 reps. And then you get the 5 reps, then you get the 6 to 8 reps, and then you finish off with the 8 to 10 reps. And you get that. That's the most effective way to train to get the most out of 3 sets. A heavier set, a little bit lighter with 1 or 2 more reps, a little bit lighter with 1 or 2 more reps. And you will find you come back a lot stronger. You will find this training requires you to actually push yourself way harder, because now you'll realize that before, when you're doing 4 sets of 8 reps, the first couple sets, you weren't even that hard. You were keeping some in the tank. Well, you want to actually push your body the hardest when you're fresh. And so reverse pyramid training works very well. There's also a second benefit where when you do the heavy weight first and then you go lighter, you're actually like training your body to use more muscle fibers. So if you go in and you bench 250 and you do 5 reps, and then I take the weight off and now it's 225, that first rep with 225, you're like, whoa, this feels really light. It feels lighter than usual because your body is used to 250. So now you're actually using more muscle fiber recruitment, which is very, very cool. And so that's reverse pyramid training. I've used so many different training styles for strength and muscle, and RPT is by far the most effective. Nothing comes close to it. It's very intensive, so it does take a lot out of you, but it is the most effective. And then for more size, less tension, rest pause training is great, where basically you take a weight you can do for higher reps, 12 to 15, where you're not necessarily getting a ton of muscle fiber recruitment on the first few reps, but you do that 15 reps, you only rest 10 seconds. And by only resting 10 seconds, your body is forced to continue to use a high level of muscle fiber recruitment. And then you do 5 reps, then you rest 10 seconds, you do 5 reps, you rest 10 to 15 seconds, you do 5 reps. And that little 15 reps plus 3 little mini sets will do more damage, more benefit, more growth than doing like 5 sets of, it's way more efficient. It works very well. It works extremely well for, lateral raises, rear delts, where you can't really go heavy 6 reps on lateral raises without that exercise kind of feeling off.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talk about rest pause a lot for shoulders. Which I do use a lot for. It's very, very helpful. So what are you doing right now, man? So I saw one of your vlogs. You're doing like 2,400 calories, which is like what for you, like 13 to 14 calories per pound.
Yeah, I'm actually like 175 right now, 176. My goal is 177, but I got a bit leaner than I actually intended to. So I'm definitely focused on getting lean right now. I'm doing about 2,400 calories, and I probably burn 2,800 calories per day. So I'm doing a small deficit. When I really started dialing in my deficit, it was probably a few months ago. So probably 12 weeks, I started kind of dialing in the deficit. And in that time, I cut basically 7-8 pounds. So I kind of average losing about 2.5 to 3 pounds a month. I find that like when your body fat is below 10%, trying to lose 5 pounds a month is wrong. You don't want to take it that fast. So I kind of recommend like doing more of a 400 calorie deficit, 400 calorie deficit for the guys that are already quite lean. Because if cutting body fat from 9% to 6% is very different than cutting from 18% to 12%. It's completely different. It's different from a hormonal level where leptin levels drop. The less fat you have, the less leptin you have. And if you cut too quickly when your body fat's too low, you rebound, you get hunger issues, your sex drive plummets, because if you were to continue to cut at a high rate when your body fat is so low, you are going to put yourself into freaking starvation. You are going to run out of fat reserves, and your body's going to have to shut down. And as fat reserves get lower, if the deficit's too big, your body taps into muscle. And when you start burning muscle, it's very uncomfortable. When your deficit's dialed in and you're burning fat and you're maintaining muscle, it actually feels a lot better. Hunger is much better. But when your body's actually breaking down muscle, it becomes very rough. So I've been cutting. I might, for fun, look at doing a DEXA scan and getting into the mid 5% body fat level for fun. Because I've done many DEXAs, and I've the lowest I've done on DEXA is 6.1%. I have been leaner. I just never did the DEXA at that body fat level. So I might just want to get that 5.5% on the DEXA. And I'm doing some movie star training. I'm working on the movie star 2.0, which is going to be very, very cool. It's going to be a 4-month routine, 12 weeks of a really solid setup with different exercise rotation. There's going to be a little bonus Saturday workout for core and stuff. And then the 4th month's that shrink wrap higher volume phase. So I'm doing movie star 2.0. And so I'm actually doing that training right now. And again, it's like, I'm 30. I've been lifting weights since I was 13. Like there's not that I can go on lean bulks and do all this, but like, there's not much more muscle I can build. When you're controlling for 6-7% body fat, you can only be so big. I'm 175, 176, 177. I'm not going to be able to be 6% body fat at 183, 182. There's a very finite limits of how big you can be at a low body fat naturally. So I'm just going to have fun staying lean. I like being chiseled, and just kind of keeping the physique sharp. Maybe work on subtle things, a little more arms, X, Y, and Z. But it's at this point, it's just kind of refining.
How tall are you, man?
5'10".
5'10". So you were huge though. Like at some point, like you looked like humongous. Well, like how much did you weigh? Because you show some like in the I think it's in the superhero pictures. Yeah. Like you must have been like 185 or something there. No.
Yeah, I've been 185. I mean, I could be 185 in freaking 2-3 weeks if I wanted to. 3 weeks.
But you were still lean, man. You saw like
abs
and everything.
Yeah, you know what? I was still quite lean, but body fat is very interesting where you can have abs at 185 and still have like, a very good abs, even solid abs at 185 and still have like 10 pounds to cut to be very lean. So I could even have abs at 190. No problem. I wouldn't look as cut. I wouldn't look as hard. I wouldn't be as vascular. I wouldn't have as good proportion. But yeah, you know what? It's easier for me to be 185 and with some ab definition, some more strength than to get down to 175 and be chiseled. And I have a theory that like, you can go on when you've been training for a long time and you really cut down to 6% body fat. I could go on some lean bulks, do a lot of lifting and be a bigger 185. Maybe I could work on being a slightly bigger 185 with a bit leaner. But when I cut down to 6%, I'm going to end at the same place. It's with 6% body fat. There's not much size you can hold there. So I could do some lean bulks and be a very impressive 9% and improve my 9% body fat. But then, there's an equalization when you get down to 6%. So that's sort of what I've learned. But unless you start going on gear and stuff, then obviously you can get it to be a bigger 6-7%. But that's sort of, what I've kind of realized. So I'm just going to have fun, maintaining, and I'm a momentum person. So when I go on those lean bulks and get to 185, it takes me probably, I'm not even kidding, it takes me 2 to 3 months to get myself ready to start cutting again. I'll be like, hey, I'm ready to get lean. And then I'll just just slowly kind of shift the momentum into cutting. And then once I'm really shifted, then I just get lean fast. So yeah. I'm such a momentum person. But if I want to lean bulk, I could easily increase my calories and lean bulk, and I could do that freaking tomorrow because eating is easy. But for cutting, it's all momentum for me.
One of the, I don't know when this was, maybe it was about a year or so or during the pandemic, you kind of shifted from really being obsessive about like calorie intake. You're just like, I'm really just focusing on protein, like my protein intake for the day. I don't know if that was in a post or in a blog, but do you remember that?
So I wouldn't actually say that, because I actually am more focused on I'd say hitting the right calories than protein. It
was more along the lines that all the other calories will fall into place. So like you're really just it was something maybe like that. Like
I think I know what it was. I think it was like for a while was very specific about this much fat, this much carbs, this
Right.
much protein. And I just realized hit your calories, hit your protein,
That's what it was.
and eat a balanced diet, and fats and carbs will fall into place. It's not like hitting precisely 220 carb, 70 fat, 160 protein is going to transform your physique. Whereas if the fat was a bit higher, lower, carb a bit higher, lower, that wouldn't work. Like it's really just about getting the right calories, the right protein, and then keeping the carbs and fats in a balanced place, where if you go too low in carb or fat, there's downsides. And obviously if you go, so it's
Those calories and protein and everything would fall into place. That's exactly what it was. Right?
Calories and protein, and then basically just eat a balanced diet. If you're trying to avoid carbs, trying to avoid fat, I think that's wrong. I think you get downsides from cutting those things out, for training, for hormonal health. But now I pretty much eyeball my calories. I will fast every day, do octane, our essential amino acids, which blunts my hunger. I will have a small little meal to hold myself till dinner, 500 calories. I'll have 500 calories later in the day, like my little chocolate, or 400 or 500 calories, or some fruit. And then so 1,000 calories are perfectly tracked. Like I know I'm breaking my fast. My last meal is 1,000 calories. And then I guess what I can eat, like literally a big dinner of 1,200 to 1,600 calories. And I'll be in a, modest to small deficit. And so I literally it's so easy for me, because I'm like, okay, 1,000 calories here combined. And then I can literally eat up to 1,800 calories for dinner at maintenance. And obviously that's a lot. Like ideally I'll eat 1,400 calories, and I'm in that perfect deficit to lose 3 pounds a month.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, the system works. A couple of quick questions. One is, do you still train fasted?
I typically train fat. I stopped training fasted for a while. And then when I started adding in the essential amino acids again, I actually really enjoy training fasted again, because it blunts my hunger. My training's better when I get those amino acids, that protein source. So I typically train fasted with octane and essential amino acids. And some people nitpick, you're taking in essential amino acids, you're spiking insulin, you're breaking your fast. Look, I like to look at things more of like a more dose dependent. People obsess about being in this perfect fast. I know Rhonda Patrick talks about, coffee might theoretically break your fast, but if you actually listen to her talk, she kind of is a lot more nuanced about it. Like maybe it does. It's hard to quantify what difference it makes. Maybe it's 5%. Like I am very much more big picture. And with the fast, what essentially is going on with the fast, essentially what's going on is your body's tapping into body fat for fuel. You're essentially, it's just, if you're just to kind of pinpoint what is the fast, your body is not getting energy from food. Your body is getting energy from its own fat source. Okay. So if taking essential amino acids during your fast or before training helps, get that protein synthesis going, prevent protein breakdown, blunt your hunger, because now your body isn't, your body's getting those muscles fed, then that's a good thing. And will taking in technically 50 calories, will that start to ruin the fast? And now your body's taking in energy from food? No, 50 calories is so little. I'll burn 50 calories on the phone, walking in a circle for 6 minutes. So 50 calories is not a lot. And so I also look at the main objective isn't to just do this incredibly perfect, strict fast. The main objective is to have the best 24-hour cycle and make sure, you're hitting your calories, protein for that day. And so, sometimes I find doing a little aminos during the fast actually makes the deficit easier and the whole day better, and my workouts are better. And so you got to look at the big picture. Don't just get obsessed with the fast and I got to hit 16-hour fast. I'm pretty flexible. I'll wake up. I don't even worry about the time of fasting from my last meal the night prior to when I break the fast. I don't worry about that. If I want to have my last meal at midnight, I'll have my last meal at midnight or 1 a.m. Doesn't matter, or 11 p.m. I don't care. It's just when I wake up, I'm not going to eat right away. I'm going to push that fast, later into the day. Maybe I'll have some aminos and a few hours in, and then I'll have that first meal 6 hours after waking. So if I wake up at 10, I might eat the first bite at 4 p.m. Then I might have a dinner at 7, 8 p.m. And then I might have something else at 11 p.m. And I don't obsess about the timing. The more you obsess and that you're not helping yourself.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's what's so great about your programs. There's a lot of freedom. It's like what I'll do on the weekends. Sometimes I won't break my fast, and I get up early because of my kids. But if I kind of indulge the night before, I'll break my fast at like 4 instead of at like noon. But it all works out. Like, just like you said, they're 24-hour blocks, and just maximize what you do in those 24-hour blocks. The way that feels right, as long as there's a component of the fast, etc. Two other quick things. One is in your story, you said like you were like getting lean too fast. You're like, all right, I'm gonna have some chips. Chips are like the absolute worst food to eat. But then the next like two like frames down, you're having like I don't know, some kind of sugary cereal with milk.
Yeah.
Can you talk? Is there any? Were you just can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, it's just about like what I said earlier. Find the most enjoyable way to hit your calories. And it doesn't necessarily mean eating like there. I found before I try to be perfectly clean, I'd get cravings and I'd overeat. I'd overeat on some healthy foods. So chocolate was very satiating. Chips are kind of like that food where like you eat chips and you never like reach a point where like, oh, I'm satisfied, that hit the spot. Like chips are kind of meant to like just mindlessly eat. And people like people like, oh, like chocolate, or you're having a chocolate bar, that's bad. And then they're freaking eating 1,100 calories of chips before dinner, or even 500, 600 calories of chips before dinner. So like you can like imagine you go to a Mexican restaurant and you have 5, 6, chicken, steak, tacos, what have you. If you add in a bunch of chips to that dinner, your level of satiety is literally the same. Like if you had 6 filling steak tacos, just that, or you had snacked on chips, then had the 6 tacos, you're the same level of satiety. So I find most chips don't really offer much satiety. Now having potatoes or even French fries, I find they're much more filling. But chips, no. Like it's like that Lay's. What was Lay's slogan? I bet you just can't have one. Yeah. Fucking right, you can't. You have to freaking. You just want them. And so it's just cut. Like you have to, if you're listening and you want to get lean, it's not about good food versus bad food, clean food versus junk food. It's about what food can I program into my calorie target every day, which for you could be 2,000, could be 2,500, could be 1,800. What foods can I program into that diet such that by doing so, I can stick to my diet? And I have not been able to make chips work. but also if you look at the calories and you pour out the chips and you're like, okay, this is 400 calories of chips. Like if you eat 400 calories of chips, you're going to want more. If I give you 400 calories of fucking chocolate, you're going to be like, that's good. That's a lot of chocolate. That's good. I'm satisfied. I don't want more. And so this is what you have to actually be cognizant of. And the corn pops are pretty damn delicious. I don't have them that often, but I especially when I'm like getting super lean, I'm like, okay, I need to like pump in a few more carbs here. Then maybe I'll have a little bowl of corn pops. It's not the best thing. Obviously having more potatoes from starches or rice might be superior, but I actually kind of like to like have fun by hitting my calories with stuff like that. And it doesn't make as much of a difference as people think. Get your protein in, eat healthy, wholesome food, steak, potatoes, some fruits, eggs, Greek yogurt. And if you have room for more calories and you want to eat some corn pops or chocolate, it's not gonna make a big difference. Remember, body recomposition is about crushing in the gym, getting stronger, the right calories, the right protein. And if 80% of the food you're eating is solid, then you can be relaxed at the 20%. On the same token, you can eat perfect 100% of the time and be overweight and have bad body composition. So again, calories and protein are most important. And again, find the most enjoyable way to hit your calories. And I actually have been able to eat corn pops and have like 400 or 500 calories and it hits the spot. But again, I don't know anyone that can actually get lean consistently eating chips. I just don't. Like there's some chips, like maybe those baked chips, like pop chips actually are a little bit more satiating, so that those can work. But as far as going to the convenience store and grabbing bags of chips, like it just doesn't work. If you eat chips right now, the easiest way for you to just effortlessly lose weight is to cut out chips, cut out calorie drinks, and just base your eating off of lean meat. So strip loin steaks, chicken, eggs, potatoes, fruits, stuff of that nature. And then if you want to fit in some desserts that are satiating, where you're like, oh, this is 300 calories. I'm going to eat this and it's going to hit the spot, like chocolate or something, then do that. And actually getting lean is actually quite easy. And then I like to just give yourself like 3 opportunities a day to eat. Have a light meal in around noon that will stay. The goal of the first meal is just to stave yourself off until dinner. It's not to get yourself full and satisfied. If you want to get lean, you only really want one time a day to actually be full. If you're full twice a day, 3 times a day, you're not going to get lean. You like the first meal should just stave yourself off until dinner. This is the warrior diet approach. Eat light, trigger the sympathetic nervous system, be sharp during the day. Have that evening meal to push your body into anabolism, the rest, digest, parasympathetic nervous system, and then just to make dieting so easy, you can give yourself a little snack at night to hit the spot and then that way you don't have to finish eating it at 7 p.m. and then you're like at 10 o'clock you have a little craving. So there's one point a day where you actually can be genuinely satisfied and full, and then the other meals are either hit the spot or just to stave yourself off till dinner. And that setup is fucking genius. I've made millions of dollars teaching this setup, but so I mean, I'm giving you the stuff that like literally I spent months and months and months and years kind of pinpointing. When I was doing a bigger meal during lunch, because I was like, oh, maybe I should do a bigger, more sizable meal for lunch. And then it was way harder to hit my calories consistently, be in a deficit, consistently lean down. And so I do about 500 calories, 500, and then the big meal. And it's just like, getting lean is so easy, especially when you use the essential amino acids to blunt your hunger. That because it can be hard to take in low calories until dinner time. That can be tough. You'd be surprised how much a difference 10, 15 grams of EAAs during the day. It feeds your muscle. Protein is the most filling macronutrient until it is not. So if you've eaten 2,000 calories today and only 70, 80 grams of protein, you're probably not going to be that satiated. You're actually going to be really hungry. Your body, you're not going to get full because you're not getting enough protein. But if you've eaten 2,000 calories, or let's say 1,800 calories, and you've hit 150, 160 grams of protein, well, guess what? Eating more protein isn't necessarily going to satiate you that much more. And that's when I like to actually fill up on more carbs or fats that help kind of really create that feeling of satisfaction. But so by that point, by freaking shuttling in 10 grams of EAAs during the fast, you give yourself that little protein boost of the most important key essential amino acids for muscle growth, so that you're not as hungry later in the day because you got in those key essential amino acids, whereby you'd have to eat like an 8 to 10 ounce steak to get the same amount of EAAs that you're getting in a serving that's essentially 50 calories.
What's the difference between EAA and BCAA?
So BCAAs have just 3 amino acids that play a significant role in protein synthesis. Most notably leucine. But then the research shows that to really adequately trigger protein synthesis, your body needs all 9 essential amino acids. There's a rate limiting factor where, you can't necessarily use full amount of leucine unless you're getting in all 9 essential amino acids. So, if you're having a huge steak dinner the night before with 14 ounces of steak, it's very likely you'll have a steady supply of amino acids into your bloodstream the very next day. So BCAAs theoretically could be fine because you are having that supply of amino acids. That said, the research is pretty clear that EAAs are superior to BCAAs. So we shifted our amino product. I actually had great results with our original BCAA product, which had a high amount of leucine, also had HMB, which is a byproduct of leucine that's helpful for preventing protein breakdown. I actually had amazing results with their BCAA product, but I just kind of followed the research and shifted things to EAAs, which seemed to be superior. So EAAs are definitely very, very good. Again, there's a way to, like, if you are eating breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, and you're getting a high amount of protein, EAAs might not offer you that much. But if you're actually fasting and focusing on getting very, very lean and taking the EAAs during the fast and then training, that's when it is very effective.
I love it, man. Yeah. Dude, I could keep you here all day. Keep picking your brain, but I know we're over time already, man. I just want to thank you so much, man. Really, just from a personal perspective, your programs have really been game changing for me. I hope other folks will I mean, you have millions of followers and all that shit already, but I hope the other folks that are my community will check your stuff out, man, because I talk about you a lot. I talk about your programs a lot. In fact, one of my posts yesterday was I was talking about how you break down macronutrients and, like, you know, designing a diet. I think it's all brilliant, very practical, very easy to implement for any busy professional. Especially, it's a super practical way to get fit, get lean, get jacked, get ripped, you know, which was literally my goal in 2012. I said I want to get jacked and ripped. That was it, you know. And
hell yeah,
your programs have helped me a lot, man.
All right, thank you so much, man. I'm freaking happy to kick it here with you. So this was awesome.
All right, man, let's get it.